If you've been scrolling through endless NAS options, reading specs that all sound the same, and still feel stuck wondering which one actually makes sense for your home or tiny office, this review is meant to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks actually pulling a Synology DiskStation DS223 out of the box, slotting in a pair of 8TB drives, and testing it as a media hub, a backup target, and a remote file server. So let's walk through what you'll really get when you turn it on. First off, the DS223 is a 2-bay unit that ships as a bare chassis. The drives and the 2GB DDR4 stick aren't pre-installed, so you'll need a screwdriver and a little patience to get them into place. That sounds like an extra step, but it also means you can pick the exact drives you want, whether you prefer quieter 5,400 revolutions per minute disks for archival backups, or the faster 7,200 revolutions per minute models for smoother Plex streaming. The trade-off here is that the initial out-of-the-box price looks cheap, but you'll end up adding the cost of the drives and possibly a memory upgrade if you plan to run multiple apps. From a software standpoint, Synology's DiskStation Manager, DSM, is where the magic happens. The moment the unit boots, you're greeted by a clean, web-based desktop that feels more like a small PC than a traditional NAS. Setting up shared folders, user permissions, and cloud sync takes just a few clicks. I linked a couple of laptops and a tablet, and the Quick Connect feature gave me remote access without fiddling with port forwarding. For a family that wants to pull photos from a phone, stream movies to a living room TV, and have an automatic backup of every PC, that ease of use is a real win. Performance-wise, the DS223 runs on a quad-core RTD1619B 1.7 GHz CPU and the stock 2GB of RAM. In my day-to-day tests, copying a 30GB video library from a desktop to the NAS, streaming a 4K movie through Plex, and backing up 3 laptops via Synology Drive, the device handled everything without noticeable lag. The bottleneck I did hit was the single 1GB Ethernet port. When I tried to push multiple 1080p streams simultaneously, the network saturated at around 110 megabits per second, which is fine for most households, but could feel cramped for a small office that expects gigabit speeds for multiple users at once. Now, who should actually buy this thing? If you're a home user who wants a central place to store family photos, a modest media collection, and an automated backup solution for a handful of devices, the DS223 hits a sweet spot. Its low power draw means it can sit on a shelf 24/7 without spiking your electric bill, and the DSM app ecosystem gives you tools like Photo Station, Audio Station, and Surveillance Station if you ever decide to repurpose spare cameras. Small businesses with up to 5 users also find it useful for shared document storage and basic version control, especially because the device supports Windows ACLS and macOS AFP SMB out of the box. On the flip side, you'll want to skip this model if you're chasing high-end performance or need more than 2 drives. Power users who run Docker containers, heavy video transcoding, or large virtual machines will quickly bump into the 2GB RAM ceiling. Synology does allow a memory upgrade, but the model only supports up to 6GB, which still feels modest compared to the 8-bay units that start at a higher price tier. Likewise, if your workflow relies on 10GB networking, multiple Ethernet ports, or redundant power supplies, the DS223's single 1GB port and single power brick are limiting factors. A practical strength that often gets lost in marketing blurbs is the hybrid RAID flexibility. Because you can mix drive sizes, you could start with a single 8TB disk, let the system run in basic mode, and later add a second 8TB disk to convert to Synology Hybrid RAID (SHR). That gives you automatic data protection without the strict 1 disk per bay requirement you see in traditional RAID 1 setups. In real life, when one of my drives began showing smart warnings, the SHR rebuild completed overnight without any interruption to my Plex streams, a peace of mind that's hard to quantify but priceless. The hidden,